Hello everyone and welcome back to Digit.in. My name is Swapnil and I am going to be reviewing the Honor 10 today for you. So if you had watched my first impressions video, you would have noticed two things. One, this phone is a fingerprint magnet, and two, I'm wearing the same clothes as yesterday. That's because my team has not let me go back home till I finish the review for this phone. So here it is. So let's first talk about the design of the Honor 10. Sure, it may look like it borrows a few design cues from the Huawei P20 Pro, but in reality that is not the case. It's got an all metal and glass design, but the unique aspect of it is the back. The color treatment is such that no matter what angle you look at the phone from, it looks different. There's hues of purple, maybe some shades of pink, and definitely blues and white streaks of light running across the back, giving it a very unique, one-of-a-kind look. The Honor 10 uses an IPS LCD display, and while some of you may think, oh no, why not OLED? It's actually not so bad. It's extremely good for people who are into photography or love making videos. It's a color accurate display, and if you tune it right, it'll give you the most accurate representation of the colors you're seeing, not just in the videos you're watching, but also in the photos you edit. So that way the IPS display works. Second, it comes with a notch. Unfortunately, because it's an IPS panel, when you turn on the hide notch mode, there's a black band that comes across the screen. And if you look at it from a different angle, you can see the separation between the notch and that black band. This works beautifully on an OLED display like the one on the Huawei P20 Pro, but not so much on the Honor 10. Then again, if you're watching videos, if you're consuming content, if you're browsing the web, the notch isn't really going to get in the way. It's only a matter of time before Android OS and other apps optimize themselves for the inclusion of the notch on these smartphones. Let's talk about the performance and the software on the Honor 10. On the inside, this has Huawei's flagship CPU, which is the Kirin 970 processor with a built-in NPU. There's also 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of onboard storage. If you're into listening to FLAC files, you're going to love this phone. Okay, so coming down to, let's say, gaming performance on this phone. Games play beautifully on this, and which is really surprising because on the Huawei P20 Pro, there were some problems while playing Injustice, which is not the case on this phone, and also with Asphalt. Need for Speed also plays beautifully, and if I was into PUBG, I would have told you what that game plays like, but I wouldn't be surprised if it plays just fine. If you're talking about day-to-day usage, I've been using this phone for about 5 days now as my primary and only phone because I'm a poor reviewer like that. No hiccups at all. In fact, I've suffered less bugs on this phone than I did on the Huawei P20 Pro. No crashes whatsoever, and the Bluetooth connectivity works whether it's with my Fitbit Ionic or whether it's with my car stereo. There's absolutely no problems. One area of contention, however, is the heating. I noticed that while gaming or even while using the camera, the part around the camera module specifically heats up significantly. After 10 minutes of playing Need for Speed, it was very difficult to hold the phone from one side because it was so hot. While running 3D Mark benchmark, we noticed that the temperature was hitting almost 52 degrees near the camera module. I'm hoping this is due to badly optimized OS, which Honor can fix with an update, but if that's not the case, Honor might have a problem on its hands. But we'll let them get back to us on this. So that's the hardware side of things. On the software side, the Honor 10 is running EMUI 8.1 based on Oreo 8.1. Now, I'm not particularly fond of the iPhone-like layout. I do like my app drawer, and if you like your app drawer too, you'll be in for a surprise because the Honor 10 does not offer an app drawer at first look. It's an option you have to enable. So thankfully it's there, and that's what I'm using right now. What's really interesting is the fingerprint sensor is embedded into the display itself. It's not under display, but it's on the glass part and the bottom chin. So interestingly, the Honor 10 has Emotion UI optimized so beautifully that at most points of time, there's about 2 to 3 gigs of RAM free. There are no hiccups between apps, between switching, changing, closing apps, opening apps, running multiple tabs of Chrome, running multiple games at the same time, whatever you might want to do. I was able to run Lightroom and Snapseed, editing 24 megabyte RAW files on this phone without any problems. That's 24 megapixels, sorry, not megabytes. Anyway, coming back to the software, it's beautifully optimized, it runs very smooth, and I'm actually surprised that I'm saying this, but this is a non-stock version of Android that I might actually like, and I'm a Pixel user. The Honor 10 has a dual camera setup on the back, so there's a 24 megapixel primary RGB sensor and a 16 megapixel monochrome sensor. That's the usual setup that Honor normally has on their smartphones, but what's interesting this time around is that the front camera is a 24 megapixel sensor, but with a 1.8 micrometer pixel pitch. This is bigger pixel pitch than most primary cameras out there in the market right now. Typically they range between 1.2 to 1.4, maybe 1.5, but this is much higher. So if you're taking selfies, especially in low light, they look very, very good. I was actually surprised when I was taking photos with my family out on the streets on Sunday night. And looking at those photos, they look pretty damn amazing. There's no doubts that this is a good selfie camera. If you go back to the primary camera now, so with the 24 megapixel sensor, you're getting color images. It's always better to shoot in Pro mode because you get the raw files and it preserves the maximum amount of detail, although you do have to spend some time editing them, but that's a fair trade-off if you are shooting portraits. Now, the monochrome sensor, on the other hand, produces amazing, beautiful, artistic shots. Of course, you have to have the eye for them too. But unfortunately, while there is a Pro mode for the monochrome sensor, there is no raw output. I hope Honor will introduce that in the next update. One of the biggest concerns with smartphones nowadays is their battery life, and the Honor 10 in that regard is fairly satisfactory. On the PC Mark 2.0 test, it gave me about 8.5 hours of runtime. The exact numbers we will share in the review. And in terms of day-to-day usage, I'm getting around 24 hours of usage. That is, I unplug the phone from charging around 7:38 in the morning and I have to plug it in the next day around maybe 9-10 in the morning. Thanks to the fact that it supports fast charging and there's a fast charger bundle in the box, I can go from 0 to 100 in well under an hour and a half. That's charging a 3400 milliampere battery in less than an hour and a half using fast charging. The only issue, however, you may face is that there have been times when, again, I faced heating while charging the phone. It's intermittent, it's not always the case, but there was one particular occasion where while charging the phone, it got so hot that I had to unplug it. Could be because there may have been a benchmark running in the background, not really sure, but that was a one-time thing. So now let's come down to the crux of it all. Should you buy the Honor 10 or not? Here's the thing. The Honor 10 is a very beautifully built smartphone. It looks like a flagship, it feels like a flagship, and it definitely performs like a flagship. The imaging is good, the performance is well over satisfactory, and the battery life is as much as you would expect it to be from a 3400 milliampere battery. Now, the only issue as of now is with the heating, where if you're using the camera for too long, and when I say too long, I mean 5 photos or more, or if you're gaming for too long, by that I mean 5 minutes or more, again, there is significant heating on the top part of the phone originating from the camera module. Hopefully, Honor will be able to fix this issue, or maybe it could be an issue with just the review unit we have, but if that's not the case, Honor has its work cut out for itself. Now let's leave the heating part aside for a minute and look at the phone as an individual device. It does everything that it's supposed to. It takes great photos, it's reliable for day-to-day use, whether it's for gaming, whether it's for work or entertainment. It has enough battery life to last you an entire day, and it looks extremely well regardless of whether you're a college-going student or even if you're a businessman. This will fit in beautifully with your lifestyle. So the question really here is, why should you not buy the Honor 10? So we're going to leave you with that question. Leave the answers down in the comments below, and if you like this video, please hit the like button, maybe subscribe to our channel, maybe just share this video with your friends, and I can now probably go home and get some sleep. Thanks for watching.